happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because the truth should be out there.
It'll be very difficult for anyone to ever work with Blake Lively ever again.
How big of a black eye did they get? Like, not how big of a black guy did he get?
Gotcha.
How big of a black
Let me tell you about that story, Pat.
What do you mean by that?
Like, meaning, how bad is this on their reputation?
On their reputations? Oh, it's terrible, terrible. I mean, now other footage is coming out of Blake Lively admitting, hey, when I get involved with projects, they hire me as the actress, and sometimes I don't really tell them, but I actually want to come in and I want to rewrite it, and I want to be a producer, and I want to do all of these things. She's literally admitted all of this blatantly.
You're not great. Blocked.
Yeah.
Do you block people ever?
No, I've muted some people. Now that it's a function on Twitter and Instagram, there's a couple people that I have muted.
Good.
Yeah.
What happens when the world's most powerful pop star is betrayed by someone from inside her inner circle? For years, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively were the definition of Hollywood best friends. Inside jokes, holiday getaways, family hangouts, and endless public praise. But now, radio silence. No red carpets, no birthday shoutouts, no cryptic Instagram comments, nothing. They haven't been seen together in over a year, and fans have noticed.
And then I finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's like such a funny director. Yeah. And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely like a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was like, is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix.
And it's like, it's like really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and like, kind of like my.
Still, the internet refuses to let the Taylor and Blake feud theory die. Swifties are dissecting everything, matching jewelry, subtle likes, even perfectly timed baking posts, convinced it's proof the friendship is alive and well. But dig a little deeper and the truth doesn't just hint at a fallout, it screams one. Behind the carefully curated smiles and planted headlines lies a story of manipulation, legal pressure, and what some insiders claim could be one of the most shocking betrayals of Taylor Swift's entire career. This isn't just celebrity drama. It's a behind-the-scenes power struggle between A-listers, PR machines, and billion-dollar brands with Taylor Swift caught in the middle, fighting to control a narrative someone else tried to steal. Intro 3, and at the center of it all, Blake Lively. It all started with a bracelet, just a simple crystal-studded accessory featured on the cover of Taylor Swift's new album. To most people, it was nothing more than another piece of glamorous jewelry. But to internet detectives and pop culture obsessives, it was something more. A sign, a symbol, a secret message. Why? Because that exact style of bracelet is famously linked to Lauren Schwartz, a luxury designer Blake Lively practically lives in. At the It Ends With Us premiere, Blake was spotted wearing what looked like the same brand. And just like that, the rumors ignited. Taylor's wearing Blake's bracelet. It's a nod to their friendship. They're secretly fine. But here's where it gets suspicious. The bracelets? Not identical. Not even close. Sure, they both sparkle under the lights, but side by side, the differences are obvious. The shape, the size, even the cut of the stones. Still, facts didn't matter once the narrative caught fire. The story had momentum, and it wasn't slowing down.
And I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fulfill. I think it's about being upfront about like knowing what you actually need versus just like trying to get the job. And then, once you're in it, sort of revealing the scope of your sort of, needs to be,
This wasn't a coincidence. Fans called it an Easter egg, but insiders saw something else entirely. A calculated PR maneuver. A planted story. A desperate attempt to polish the image of a friendship that behind the scenes was already fractured beyond repair. Because when someone like Taylor Swift wears a specific brand, it's rarely spontaneous. It's strategy. And both Taylor and Blake know that better than anyone. So if the bracelet wasn't a symbol of friendship, why was Blake's team suddenly working overtime to convince us otherwise? Stories began appearing like clockwork. 1 minute, a glossy album cover and a bracelet. The next, tabloids and influencers pushing headlines about reconciliation. The timing was too neat, too rehearsed. Then came the little things. A liked post that quietly vanished. A vague page 6 blurb with no screenshots. A conveniently timed Us Weekly cover nudging the narrative in the same direction. Each piece on its own? Maybe a coincidence. But together they formed a pattern, a script. And that's the hallmark of modern PR. Drip feed the audience a version of reality, one breadcrumb at a time until it
did, and how she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try
plant a favorable story here. See the supportive quote there. Let influencers amplify it. Repeat it often enough and suddenly it becomes truth. That's how modern media works, perception over proof. But there were cracks in this particular story. Public sightings had stopped after that late August birthday. No candid photos, no shared appearances, no reliable proof of those supposed likes and friendly posts. And yet, the spin machine kept humming, which raised the obvious question, why try so hard to convince the world this friendship was still alive? Because image matters. Reputation matters. In Hollywood, lawsuits and scandals can topple empires, so if a friendship looked broken, the repair had to be visible, loud enough to drown out the rumors, but subtle enough to seem authentic. The result? Pure theater, paparazzi-friendly moments, carefully timed posts, and conveniently placed press coverage, all designed to make the public buy the story before anyone had time to look closer. But if the PR machine was working that hard to paper over the cracks, what was it hiding? Because this wasn't just about a simple falling out anymore. Beneath the shiny bracelets and planted headlines was something darker, something explosive. In late 2024, whispers started to spread about a private birthday party Taylor hosted in August, one Blake and Ryan were invited to. On the surface, it was just another celebrity celebration, but behind closed doors that night, something happened. Something that would turn their friendship completely upside down.
The fear if she's telling the truth. She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment.
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have
According to online chatter and unverified fan theories, rumors of a private disagreement between Taylor and Blake began to swirl. Anonymous sources claimed there were tense exchanges and demands made behind the scenes, but nothing was ever confirmed. Both camps stayed silent. No statements, no unfollows, just a wall of quiet that only fueled more speculation. And when a separate Hollywood legal dispute later mentioned a high-profile friendship turned sour, the internet immediately filled in the blanks. Taylor didn't comment, which was unusual for her, the woman known for reclaiming her own narrative. Fans took that silence not as denial, but as distance. Meanwhile, Blake and Ryan seemed to pivot fast, showing up at events, smiling for cameras, and changing the story before anyone could dig deeper.
Defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history. Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man, but he's to me sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone. And so that's what happens to you, right? You run into somebody who seems like a witch who will take advantage of you and hurt you until finally even that kind of a guy rises up. Now, he didn't do it himself exactly. He hired a badass named Brian Friedman, and he has badass women like me defending him. Mm-hmm. But slowly but surely, I think the male class is learning down on the floor, squirming and apologizing for being a man is not the way.
With Taylor keeping her distance, attention shifted straight to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. By late 2024, Blake's public image took an unexpected turn when legal headlines mentioned her name in connection with a complicated Hollywood dispute. No details were confirmed, but fans immediately began connecting dots, maybe too quickly. Online, theories spread that this wasn't just about contracts or privacy, but about influence and control. Meanwhile, Ryan seemed to be everywhere at once, from heartfelt tributes about John Candy to charming interviews about his latest projects. The timing? A little too perfect for internet detectives who called it classic distraction PR. Whether coincidence or coordination, the result was the same. The narrative shifted fast. Blake and Ryan's image morphed back into Hollywood's golden couple, while the deeper questions about what really happened quietly faded into the background, at least for now.
Thank you, everyone. Justin, I love you on Jane the Virgin!
People died the other night.
The strategy was clear. Drown out the legal tension with charisma. Flood the press with charm. Bury the headline under laughter and late-night smiles. But while Blake and Ryan launched their charm offensive, the courtroom clock kept ticking. The judge wasn't swayed. The deeper the investigation dug, the more it unearthed, the pressure, the manipulation, the quiet desperation beneath the glossy PR veneer. And as the chaos swirled, someone else made her stance unmistakably clear, without saying a single word. In Hollywood, silence can be louder than a headline, and Zanaya mastered that language. It started with a viral clip from Fashion Week. Zanaya, poised and perfectly polished, sat beside Blake Lively in the front row. But something was off. Her posture was distant, her expression unreadable. She didn't lean in, didn't laugh, barely made eye contact. It wasn't subtle, it was deliberate. Social media exploded, calling it the most uncomfortable front-row pairing of the season. Then came the resurfaced interview, Zanaya speaking calmly about hate and online negativity. Her words? Grounded, almost disarmingly compassionate. You've got to think. Maybe it was the highlight of their day to diss me. And if that's true, that's okay. That quiet strength couldn't have contrasted more sharply with Blake's pattern of defensiveness. The lawsuits, the subpoenas, the endless attempts to silence critics. Zanaya's restraint wasn't just elegance. It was a quiet rejection of Blake's methods, and maybe a reflection of who Blake has become behind closed doors.
Didn't get to know Isabella while making the movie because we met a couple times, but we weren't working together. Yeah. And Colleen is really the one who, Colleen connected with me, but Colleen was incredible in saying, like, okay, the book is one thing and the movie also is another thing. And we have to make sure that we're not making a replica of the book if it isn't always the best and most authentic choice for the moment. And I think because of that, it's a very true adaptation of the book. Like, it is very, very, very true to the book.
That's the thing about Zanaya. She never needs to call anyone out. She just lets silence do the talking, and the world fill in the blanks. And this time everyone did. But just when the drama felt suffocating enough, another moment, live, unfiltered, and caught on camera, sent a different A-lister spiraling. Jennifer Lopez knows how to command a spotlight. But this time the spotlight turned on her. During what was meant to be a feel-good TV appearance promoting her new glittering musical project, the host dropped a curveball, a question about her finalized divorce from Ben Affleck. For a split second, everything froze. J-Lo's expression shifted, wide-eyed, stunned, visibly rattled. She tried to recover, to laugh it off, but the damage was already done. Within hours, the clip went viral, and for many, it wasn't just the awkwardness, it was the hypocrisy. For years, Jennifer had invited the world into her love story with Ben, the rekindling, the weddings, the anniversaries, the family vacations, all carefully curated and shared like a modern-day fairy tale. But now that the fantasy had fractured, she wanted silence, privacy, and a smooth pivot to her next big project. The problem? You can't control the narrative forever. Industry insiders whisper that Ben Affleck has been quietly feeding negative stories about Jennifer to the tabloids for years. A cold media war powered by ego, betrayal, and broken trust. And if those whispers are true, J-Lo's meticulously polished image may be starting to show its cracks.